Hello, this is the talkback mic. Yep, seems that you guys are getting the right audio. Marvellous, let me just plug back into my EAD and we're good to start the lesson today, I believe. Okay, so welcome to today's live lesson. Apologies that I haven't done one of these in a little while. I think it has been like a full year, almost to the day since I did the last one, so apologies for that. But let's get started without any further ado. Just fix my headphones so I can hear everybody. Any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I'm just going to make sure I can see the chat. Yep, there you all are. Cool. Sorry, so I've got a talkback mic on this EAD, and then I've also got a bit where it makes the drums sound really, really nice, because that's what the Yamaha EAD does. I don't know if you guys can see that down here. No, it's just off camera. But anyway, apologies if I get the settings the wrong way round and end up taking you guys' head off with it. As you can hear, yeah, things are quite loud. That's why I've got the headphones in, just to make sure if I deafen you guys, I deafen myself, and then I'm aware of these things. So anyway, I'm going to play today's idea. I'm going to show you all, and then of course we will break it down. So let's get started. Okay, it goes a little something like that. So let's break this down. I'm going to split it into two halves. It's a 10-note lick, which is kind of an unusual number of notes. And so a lot of today is going to be not only showing you the pattern, but how to sort of orchestrate it and fit it into a bar of 4, because that is obviously what we're expected to do as drummers. Is 90% of the time we're going to be landing on beat 1 when we come out of a fill. So let's break the lick down very, very slowly. Here's the first half. Okay, so that's right, left, right, left, right, and I'm orchestrating that at the moment, because I'm going to show you guys a few ways of moving it around, but at the moment I'm orchestrating it snare, rack tom, floor, floor, floor. So let's play that just one more time. Okay, so that's kind of the easy bit of the lick. The slightly trickier part of the lick is going to go like this. So this is the second half. Okay, so that's going kick, snare, kick, floor, kick. Okay, and I'm orchestrating that with the left and then the right. So kick, left, kick, right, kick. Let's play that again. Okay, so now you've got the two halves of the lick. We've got to put them together. So here's how that works. I'll try and go very slowly. Okay, so that's the lick in its entirety, but obviously we're going to have to loop that a few times for it to fit into a bar of 4. So yeah, let's slow it down even more, and then I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, so then what I'm doing is I'm kind of just repeating the lick until beat 1 comes around. So let's show you how, guys, how we're going to do that. Okay, so what I'm doing there is it's 2 times round the lick, and then I kind of have to change it. So let's play that again, and I'll show you the point at which I'm changing it to get out of the fill and to land, as we were saying earlier, on beat 1. So it's kind of on the second time we're coming round, I'm playing, let's see. Okay, so yeah, at the very end of the lick, I'm playing 2 floor toms, right, left, and then I can land on the crash. Let's really, really slow the full pattern down, and then I'll speed it up and show you how to fit into a groove. So hopefully that was slow enough for you guys. I often find that what sounds slow in my head, when I listen back to these lessons, it actually sounds kind of fast. So now we need to put it into a groove, don't we? So I'm going to be playing it as 30-second notes over a groove. Let's show you how that would work. Let's slow that down as well. Here we go. And now I'm playing it in its entirety. I realised I actually go around it 3 times and then come out of it. So it's exactly the same as I showed you earlier, but we're coming out of it. Let's slow that down. Pretty sure that's how I was coming out of it. Let's play it again in the context. Yep, it's 3 times around, so let's really slow it down, and then we'll start to move on to some orchestrations, as in ways that we can move this pattern around the kit, or at least ways that I like to move this pattern around the kit. So very, very slowly the entire lick as I'm fitting it in at the moment. Okay, so yeah, 3 times round. Last one we're tagging on 2 right, left on the floor tom, and then landing on the crash. So before I get into orchestrations, let's talk about how this idea does actually work rather well in triplets. Let me play that in context first, just to make sure I don't lie to you all about how many times I'm repeating it around again. that's the pattern I meant to play. Apologies, when I start playing I just kind of want to improvise and change things, so forgive me for that. But yeah, it's kind of a good thing, I suppose, that my ideas want to flow when I sit down behind a drum kit. But obviously when I'm trying to teach a specific idea, sometimes my brain gets a little carried away and wants to play something else. So let's show you how we're fitting in as a triplet. Obviously I'm having to shorten it slightly so it fits into what, that would be 12 notes as opposed to 32. Where we're ending it, let me just play in context one more time, sorry about it. Yep, as I thought, so I'm playing it 2 times round, I think that was, and then it doesn't quite get fully all the way around the second time, so let's play that. So, a bit slower. So you see, before I get to that very last time round, I'm kind of just, let's see, I'm just playing right, left, right, kick, and then coming out of it. Right, left, right, kick, and we're on the 1. So let's play that once again. For me, at that sort of tempo, the crash ends up on the left hand just because I went right, left, right, kick, 1. I guess the kick does give you enough time to right, left, right, kick, right on the crash, if that makes you feel comfortable. But I guess if we're playing it fast, yeah, it does come out as a left side crash. So let's play the 2 ideas that we've given you today in context. We've got same idea, but one I'm playing it as 30-second notes, the other I'm playing it as triplets. Let's do the 30-second note one first. Let's now play the triplet variation. Okay, so 2 completely different ways of orchestrating the idea. That's a good thing to do with your own ideas, in that, like, ask yourself, does it work in triplets? Or if it's already in triplets, does it work as 30 seconds or 16s? So we're talking about odds timing versus even time. I guess there, you know, like in the, is it a 4 thing or is it a 3 thing, is the 2 sort of options there. But it means you can get more than one idea out of the same idea. Let's break down something that I'm kind of dealing with in there and perhaps give you guys an exercise to improve at that something. You'll notice that I'm playing a pattern, a linear pattern that we would probably call 1/1. So for the uninitiated, linear drumming is where I'm playing single notes at the same time. So if I played 2 hands together, that would kind of technically not be very linear. But if I played 1 hand at a time and then also orchestrating with the bass drum, that would be linear playing. So for example, things like where you can see I'm using hands and feet, but as single notes kind of thing, rather than playing hands or feet and or both together. So that's linear drumming in a nutshell. But the particular pattern that's part of this lick is 1/1, which is 1 hand, 1 kick in a continuous pattern, for example. Okay, but obviously in this particular lick, I'm orchestrating that between the left and the right hand. Obviously, I was just playing it as right hands there. So there's a few things to get comfortable, I think, in order to be able to sort of pull this lick off. Let me demonstrate what I mean by that. We need to be able to play 1/1 with the right hand, and also with the left hand. Something I often talk about with my pupils that I teach in the real world, or some of them online. I've got a few international customers at the moment, which I'm very privileged to be able to teach. It's kind of off the back of this YouTube following that we've managed to muster. But something I often talk about is that if you're playing things between the same side of your body, so i.e. the right hand and the right foot, that seems to come quite naturally for most people. It doesn't seem to be very hard. So that's the good news. The bad news is that an opposite side, i.e. a left hand and a right foot, feels dead weird at first. I wouldn't say it's impossible, I wouldn't say it's really difficult, but it can feel a bit weird. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you guys an exercise that's hopefully going to improve your ability to play the 1/1 pattern, and obviously not make what we was calling the second half of this lick too difficult. Let me show you what I mean by this. Okay, those of you who follow me on Instagram might have seen me demonstrate this exercise a few times before. It's kind of something I use to make 1/1 comfortable. For me, with linear drumming, this was kind of like the last bastion. I could do like what we would call 2/2 quite easily. 2/2 would be two hands, two kicks. That seemed to come quite naturally to me for some reason. I don't know why my foot was always able to do that from the word go. I think it was I was quite a fan of Dave Weckl when I was kind of growing up, and he does a lot of that sort of pattern. So yeah, this came naturally, playing things like with the 2/2 pattern, but 1/1. Oh man, that took me a long time to grasp. And to be honest, I think the reason it took me a long time to grasp was I kept putting it off. I would do this in the practice room. I'd try and play 1/1, and this would happen, and it's likely going to happen to you as well. Where we end up with a flam, or worse, at exactly the same time, where I'm trying to play the two things one after the other, right kick, right kick, right kick, and inevitably they end up either flamming or playing at the same time. It depends on the speed. I find there's still a speed where this happens to me, but thankfully I've been able to chase it further down the line. And what I would often do in the practice room when it came to this pattern was I would put it off. So I would sort of try and play the 1/over pattern. Inevitably they would end up flamming, and I would get annoyed and just end up going back to something else that I like to play, maybe along with a song or something like that. And then one day I'm in the practice room and I kind of realized that I've been putting that off for probably about 10 years. So I thought, okay, come on, get on with it, practice it, try and get it to work. A good way around the flamming is this: allow it to flam and then try and do something about it. So for example, yeah, so I'm allowing it to sort of play a flam between, or end up at the same time, the right hand and the kick, but then I'm trying to sort of correct it and keep going. I think if you stop every time it flams, you're kind of not practicing what we do about that, or practicing what is the difference between it flamming and it not flamming. It kind of allows, well, at least it allowed my brain to feel the difference between the two and have some level of control over this. So the exercise I just played, let's break it down. It's a good exercise for sorting this out. It's kind of inspired by Tony Royster. One day I saw him playing the 1/over pattern, and he was 1/1 pattern, sorry, and he was playing with either hand. I was kind of a moment of jealousy where I was just like, man, he is comfortable with both hands. It doesn't seem to bother him which one. I think he played something a bit like this. In a solo or something, and I was just like, man, he's comfortable with both hands. I think at the time I was only really just about comfortable with playing it with the right hand. So the exercise I've just shown you that should hopefully improve your ability with 1/1. Obviously you've got that idea of let it flam and then try and do something about it. Keep it at a sort of slow to medium tempo, and you'll find that that allows you to kind of speed it up without any flamming, hopefully. And this is a problem we get with single strokes in general. If you think about it, if I'm playing right kick, right kick, right kick, those are single strokes, really. If we're talking about rudiments, it just so happens to be a hand and a foot. And I think you guys have probably experienced it, that when you try and play singles with your hand, they end up flamming too. Like, for example, if that hasn't happened to you, then you must be some kind of magical gifted person. But most people that I've taught, yeah, that's a problem at least somewhere down the line, is that the faster you're trying to go, eventually it ends up playing a flam. So anyway, without any further ado, let's break down this exercise. It's 4 on the right, 4 on the left, obviously with kicks in between, because that would then make it a 1/over pattern. So I'm playing 4 on the right, 4 on the left, and I think I do that again, usually. And then 3 on the right, 3 on the left, and then 2 on the right, 2 on the left, and then 1 on each hand. And I think I do that 4 times. So let's really slow this exercise down, and then maybe I'll speed it up a little bit for you so you can hear where it ends up eventually, hopefully. That's the exercise. Hopefully you guys have fun with that and it improves your ability with the 1/1 linear pattern. What I did find though is once I had stopped putting it off and made myself conquer, at least to some degree, the 1/1 linear pattern, it seemed to unlock the rest of the linear drumming, in that I think that's the hardest one, at least for me it was. And yeah, every other aspect of linear drumming, so like we were just talking about earlier, 2/2, that seemed to get a lot easier. And yeah, any other combination of hands and feet that you could care to mention, which is, as we were saying earlier, what linear drumming pretty much is it's just combinations of hands and feet. You might hear sort of drummers, particularly in the church fraternity, they're into this sort of playing, describe things as like right, left, right, kick, kick, left, kick, right, kick. That's basically what they're describing to you when they use that sort of terminology, is they're showing you a linear pattern. So one last thing for that exercise is I do like to tag this on the end just to be silly, and you guys can feel free to take this idea further. So at the very end, once I reach the 1 note on each drum that I played at the end there, I like to play a paradiddle between the hands. So for example, this would be my very last line of the exercise. Okay, so let's play very slowly the full exercise. So again, it's 4 on the right, 4 on the left, repeat. 3 on the right, 3 on the left, repeat. 2 on the right, 2 on the left, repeat. 1 on each hand, which I think I do 4, right, left, left. And then finally, actually no, I think I do 2, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. And then finally put in the paradiddle, right, left, right, left, right, left. So let's demonstrate what I'm talking about here. I'll try and go slowly. Please tell me in the comments if I'm not going slowly enough. Okay, so that's an exercise I like to play quite regularly just to make sure that 1/1 remains not a problem. I find if I don't practice it for a little while, it starts perhaps flamming again. Depends how long I leave it. But yeah, let's speed this up a little bit. Bit faster. Okay, and that seemed to really unlock this pattern and pretty much the rest of linear drumming for me at least. So hopefully it does the same for you. You could take this further just to stay on this exercise for a little bit longer. I'm playing a paradiddle at the end. What's not to say that I could play other variations on a paradiddle also after that? So perhaps a double paradiddle. Or a triple paradiddle. Or I could even go through a diddle diddle. Or I could start going through the inversions of the paradiddle. So perhaps let's break those down. First inversion is the one we all know and love. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. An inverted paradiddle would be right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. Let's demonstrate that. But as before, I could put the kicks in between and make that another extension of this exercise. And then a reverse paradiddle would be kind of obvious. It's diddle, para, diddle, para. It's coming up with rearranging the paras and the diddles. So in rights and lefts, that would be right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. And again, if I put the kicks in between, that could work as another extension on this exercise. And finally, we've got what I learned as a delayed paradiddle, but some people call it an outward paradiddle nowadays. So it kind of, if someone saw this written down and they couldn't see that it was one of the variations on a paradiddle, I'd totally forgive them because it doesn't look like one. So it's right, left, and then the other way around. Left, right, and repeat. So let's play that without the kicks in between, just so you can hear it. And again with the kicks in between. I could go through all four different variations of the paradiddle, inversions, of the paradiddle, and put kicks in between. So let's do that slowly. I'll start with a single paradiddle, regular one first. Then the inverted paradiddle. Then the reverse paradiddle. And last but not least, the delayed or outward paradiddle, whichever name you prefer. Let's see if I'm warmed up enough today to speed it up a little bit. Let's see. Okay, so that could take it further. Feel free to play inversions of the other three types of paradiddle I mentioned, like the double paradiddle, the triple paradiddle, the paradiddle diddle. They all have inversions. Basically, to invert it means to not start from the first note. So it's the same pattern, right, left, 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 for example, but I'm not going to start from the obvious beginning. So the reverse paradiddle is a very good example of that because it's starting from the third note. Right, left, left, right, left. But if you see it written down, it is still right, left, left at the end of the day. We're just not necessarily playing in that order, but we could do that with every variation on the paradiddle. This is kind of an insight into how my brain works, is that I'm like, what is every variation? Can I try them? Because it's bound to come up in my playing at some point, and I don't want there to be, I guess, any weaknesses in my ability to play this kind of stuff. So that last part of the lick that we've been talking about today, where let's play the lick in its entirety very slowly. I won't loop it round, I'll just play it once. That last part where it goes is probably the trickiest part of it. I think it's when I've taught it to pupils, that seems to be the bit that is slowing them down and preventing them from playing it as fast as they would like. So yeah, there's a few exercises to help you get over the difficulty that is the 1/1 pattern. And I think it's because it's for real. Like, for example, if I played 2/2, it's kind of a bit like doubles, where if you're versed in rudiments and technique, you know that doubles is kind of an illusion. If I play doubles on the snare, really, I'm moving this fast. Yeah, so it's kind of an illusion. I'm not moving as fast as I'm playing, and I think that happens with doubles between hands and feet as well. So we were talking about the 2/2 pattern a second ago. Really, that's moving this fast between my hands and feet. There's some of the illusion of doubles I find in that, whereas single strokes, and those of you who follow me on social media notice that for quite some years now, I've been trying to not break the world record for single strokes, but just like at least touch what some of these guys are doing. It's insane. So the current world record, I think, is 1,300 and something. I could be wrong there. Look it up. World record single strokes for a minute, and like to be able to even play that fast, let alone sustain it for a minute, is insane. But the reason why single strokes are hard is because they're for real. There's not really any illusions there. That's actually me moving the stick as fast as it sounds like I'm moving. You can't hide from single strokes. It's not an illusion, where kind of double strokes, if you've got good technique, kind of aren't. So I think, yeah, we've got the same problem with the 1/1 pattern. It's real. I actually have to move the hand and the kick drum at the speed it sounds like I'm moving. So for example, that's real. There's no illusions there. I am moving the kick drum pedal that fast. I am moving the right hand that fast. And I think, yeah, there's no illusions when it comes to single strokes, whereas there is a little bit with kind of double strokey sort of stuff, which probably goes to explain, hopefully, why the 1/over pattern seemed to be, for me, the last bastion just out of reach of linear drumming. Yeah, I did put that off for quite some time, as I explained earlier. So let's look at some orchestrations. Let's go back to the idea that we were originally looking at today. Hopefully those exercises help you with it. But yeah, the original idea was this in 30-second notes, because obviously we had two variations there. Where can we move it? Let's start by moving the 1/1 part. So like what I introduced you guys to as the second half. So I've got a brand new clap stack over this side. Let's not take your head off of it. Wicked bit of kit. I'm very pleased with it. It's coming very handy on sort of a lot of the gigs that I play where there's sort of dance music going on. One way I've found that sounds really nice to orchestrate it is if you move the kick, snare, kick, floor, kick bit to kick, hi-hat, kick, some sort of stack, kick. Yeah, let me show you what I mean by that. So let's play it as it was. That last part, if I move it to the hi-hat and the stack. Let's speed up a little bit so you can hear what I mean. Okay, if you don't have a stack, you must have a bell of a ride cymbal somewhere, or a bell of any cymbal. Let's show you what happens if instead of the stack, I'll move it to the bell. It has a similar effect. Okay. We could move it to a splash. That would probably have a similar effect. I haven't tried this, but let's try it. Yep, similar effect as predicted. We could move to a different tom. So at the moment I'm talking about hi-hats and cymbals and things. Let's move it so it goes like this instead of... What about instead of that last snare, I move it to a rack tom, so like this. Or I could use the other rack tom. Okay, so yeah, that's just moving the 1/1 part. I guess I could move them both to the floor tom. Let's try that. And then I could do sort of all kinds of different variations on it. So let's kind of combine those all into perhaps a silly long fill that you might get fired on the gig for playing. Okay, a few different variations in there. Then of course we had the way of moving it as a triplet. Let's demonstrate that idea again and then maybe do some of the same maneuvers around the kit. And as I said, sorry, cymbal. As I said before, my brain wants to change things. You might have noticed I moved a note already in there. So let's look at some different variations. If I go through the ones I have, we'll do the hi-hat to the stack one first. And yeah, I could use a bell or I could use a splash, just any kind of small-ish cymbal sound. So I guess a bell, sorry, talk back mine. A bell is kind of a shorter note. A splash is kind of a shorter note. I don't think it would work with a crash in place of the stack, bell or splash cymbal. Let me show you what I mean by that. You can play it like that if you like, but I find a crash is a bit too washy and it kind of obscures the other notes that you might be playing as the fill progresses, kind of thing. So yeah, let's try in the triplet variation, which we're still in. Let's try the rack tom. So. Or the other rack tom. Kind of makes it more of a tommy idea. So there you have it, guys. There's a few different variations. There's an exercise to kind of make the tricky part of this lick a bit easier, and hopefully the tricky part of other licks a bit easier. Anything that involves 1/1 even can be a little bit hard. Let's do something silly. So something you can fit into the 1/1 pattern, which is kind of, I would say, one of the main ones I use. That variation I showed you that Tony Royster does. Let's play that. Really slowly. So I'm playing 3 on each hand. Funnily enough, that was part of the exercise today, wasn't it? 3 on each hand, so I'm going right, 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 left, 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 obviously with kicks in between. I'm orchestrating that middle rack tom, floor, floor, and then my left hand plays top rack tom, floor, floor. Let's play it really slowly. I kind of like to fit if you're familiar with John Blackwell, the John Blackwell stick twirl in there. This is kind of where I got this nickname from. It was a friend of mine saw me doing. I like marching band stuff where they're playing tricks and juggling and all sorts of things like that. That impresses me. It's a great thing to do on the drums. And obviously marching band drummers have got some hands as well, man. Like that they may not be so versed in playing things with their hands and feet as we kit drummers are, but yeah, their hands are flawless. So yeah, I do like some marching band drummers. And I acquired this nickname where a friend of mine saw me playing this kind of stuff, and he was like, "Wow, you're like some kind of ninja drummist or something." And I liked that he'd said drummist instead of drummer. I thought, yeah, that's silly. That could be a good name for what has kind of become my tuition empire or company, I guess you could call it. I worry sometimes it makes me sound like I'm full of myself, like I think I'm a ninja or something. But no, it's just it's me being silly, really. My sense of humour, I guess. Let's show you how I fit that into the pattern I just played you. So you can see there, while the right hand is playing, the left hand does a 12. While the left hand is playing, the right hand does a 12. Let's speed that up a little bit so you can hear my stool or possibly my pedal squeaking there. Okay, so there's a little silly one for you there. Should I break down the twirl? It's really easy. I like the way John Blackwell, God rest him. It's a shame he's no longer with us. I did get a lot off of that guy, probably including this nickname. But yeah, he kind of got me to check out marching band drummers. I don't know if you've seen John Blackwell's first DVD. I think it's called Technique, Grooving and Showmanship. Yeah, that changed my life as a young drummer. I think I was probably still at college at the time, and just see this guy moving around the kit doing all of this was insane. And yeah, he kind of sort of started name dropping some marching drummers, showing sort of clips of great jazz drummers. And I must admit, it wasn't just watching John Blackwell play and all the things that I got from him, but it was kind of some of the stuff that he'd included in that DVD to check out as well. Yeah, that got me on a few different paths, checking out the sort of the classic jazz drummers, Art Blakey, all of them kind of guys, the Philly Joe Jones, he name dropped all of those. But also the fact that he started off in marching band, and that's where he got all of this stick wizardry. So how he teaches it is it's like you're throwing a frisbee, and you're going to keep hold of it with the thumb and the first finger. Most of my pupils know how to do this because obviously, yeah, they've seen me do that and they want to know how it's done. So you keep hold of it with those two. You kind of let go with these three. So throwing it like it's a frisbee, kind of like that. And then he taught it, it's like these fingers are kind of opening the gate and then letting it back in. You can see it doesn't actually really, it's not like one of these 12s where it goes around multiple times. It kind of only just goes around all once. How slowly can I do it? That slowly, obviously. Make sure you can do it in the left hand. I think he does it both ways, so he does it forwards and backwards, in which case your hand would land this way up, forwards, backwards. And you can see when you do it like that, it kind of looks like it's doing more than it actually is. Like it's only going around the one time. But if I do it like that, yeah. So yeah, why not? Let's demonstrate a few variations, ways of moving. Okay, so perhaps you too will get a similar nickname as this if people see you doing that. I haven't done that for a while, actually. I need to work on that stuff. It's kind of, yeah, people perhaps wonder why I call myself a ninja. I try and let the drumming speak for itself in a lot of the videos that I've done just recently, like just playing a song and perhaps, you know, chopping where it's necessary. But yeah, trying to show my musicality, I guess, rather than all of this business. But yeah, I probably need to do more of that to keep this nickname here. You can see we're wearing the branding today. I just got this T-shirt. I thought, yeah, it'd be nice to get some T-shirts printed up. A lot of people have asked me for one, and kind of I just printed a couple of one-offs that I could wear in like videos and stuff. But yeah, if enough people want them, I might look into sort of a way that we can print them off for people to buy. But let's recap over what we've done today, and then perhaps I'll take you guys through the kit. So we had the original idea in 30-second notes. I'm going to ramp up the speed a little bit, or at least try to. Hopefully I'm warmed up enough now. And we had the triplet variation on it. So I'm having to make sure I kind of silence these cymbals somewhat before I put the talkback mic on, because as you probably heard when I hit a ride bell earlier, yeah, the talkback mic has got a fair amount of gain on it. It's the EAD, which is this little device down here. I don't know if you can see it. And then, of course, there's this part of the EAD. I'm trying not to disturb the leads, but I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, I think I disturbed the lead there because it went... Need to get a new lead for it. I think it's on its way out. But amazing piece of kit. As you can see, I've only got one mic on the drum kit, and hopefully, from you guys' point of view, the drums sound pretty good. You know what it's like, if you've ever recorded drums, to mic up a drum kit and then balance it and then mix it all nice and then record it takes a long time. I mean, when I do the video sessions, like for example, when you see I'm playing long covers and things like that, it can take a few hours to get all of it set up and sounding real nice before we can even play a note. This EAD thing is absolutely incredible. I can just clamp one mic to it, get it sort of sounding roughly right. I just use the presets, if I'm honest. This is the Studio Reverb preset that you're hearing on the drums today. And then, of course, it's got this wonderful talkback setting where if I click a button, it raises the gain on the mic and you can hear what I'm saying, hopefully. It didn't work a few video sessions ago, but anyway. Is it as good as me putting individual mics on the kit and hiring a very skilled engineer, as I do for the professional videos? That's a good friend of mine called Liam Knight, who works here at SoundArc Studios. So yeah, he's an excellent engineer, especially for a relatively young guy. And yeah, I employ his services. Is it as good as doing that? No. For a couple of reasons. A, I get his personal care. He's able to mix this kit and get the best out of it. But also with the EAD, you can't really do anything in post. So if I've recorded it and I'm not keen on the sound of something, I can't really change it. It's kind of already done. I would have to record it again or perhaps change something in the settings. So I think, yeah, it doesn't quite put good studio engineers out of business. But as a means of just clamping something on, recording an idea or doing a live session, it is quite amazing. Yamaha have done some witchcraft here, and yeah, when I first got it, I kind of laughed. I just kind of set up a small kit in my living room, clumped it on there, played just a little bit of drums because obviously I don't want to annoy my neighbours, and I was just laughing like, no, it should not sound that good where I've just clamped it on, put a preset on, and gone for it. As I say, for years it was spending hours putting microphones on kits, making it sound nice. Yeah, any way of avoiding that is fantastic. I said I'd go through the drums and cymbals. Let's do that. So this kit is the one you see in all my videos. It's a Tama Star Classic Performer. It's a Birch Babinga kit. Over here we've got a 10x8, a 12x9, and a 16x14. And then this is a 13x6 snare drum. This is an add-on that I added to the sort of existing shell pack that you buy when you initially buy a kit. Heads-wise, this is an Evans Hybrid. These heads are a game changer, man. I really love the sound of them, but they are indestructible. Would you believe, like, I don't know if you can see in the video there, there's very little to no wear on this head. It's probably been on this snare for about 2 years, I think, maybe longer. And yeah, they're just absolutely indestructible. I don't think I could break one. They wear out eventually, but it seems to take years as opposed to months. So yeah, game-changing head. They're not cheap, but they're definitely worth it. On the toms, I've got EC2s and then G1s on the bottom. It's I think a 400 hazy Evans head on the bottom of the snare. And then, of course, I've got an EMAD 16-inch. If you buy this head, make sure you get the floor tom version. The collar on a floor tom is different to the collar on a bass drum. I know this because I ordered the wrong one by mistake. So if you're looking for this head, the EMAD for a 16-inch floor tom, make sure it's the floor tom one, not the kick drum one, because it probably likely won't fit underneath your rim, as it didn't. And a G1 on the bottom of that as well. It's an EMAD 2 on the kick drum, which is a 2-ply head, as opposed to, I think, the regular EMAD like this one is just a 1-ply head. What else have we got here? We've got Tuna Fish lug locks holding everything in tune. These things are a game changer, man. This is one of my first companies that I got involved with officially. Let me pull one of these off so you can see what they are. So it's this little fish-shaped thing here, and basically it's got like a pattern on the bottom where the tension rod head can sort of fit into, and then the fish's tail kind of stops the tension rod from spinning round. So you put that on there, and that has now locked that lug. It's not going to move. I'm really not fond of tuning or fiddling on gigs. I like to just take my drums out of the case We're pretty much ready to go, perhaps a little bit of fine tuning, but pretty much with these lug locks, not. Don't need to do any tuning whatsoever. It sounds the same as it did on the last gig. It kind of helps keep some consistency on recording sessions as well. So if I do a recording session on one day and then we pack everything down and then perhaps we have to do some overdubs another day, I find when I get these drums out of the cases, they still sound the same as they did on the last session, whereas sometimes tune-ins can move and say this rack tom doesn't sound the same today as it did like last week when we did the original recording. So yeah, game changer, Tune Official lug locks. Check them out. Good friends of mine. Cymbals, let's do those. Over here is an 18-inch Byzance dual trash crash. Lovely sounding cymbal. Let's give you some demos of these as we go. I don't think I've hit this one today yet. I like cymbals with holes in them, if you haven't noticed. And then over here is a 18-inch brilliant Byzance medium thin crash. Let's give you a sound of that. Let's do the hats next. These are my new hi-hats. In some of the videos I'm using my 13-inch brilliant fast hi-hats. They're the ones with the holes, sort of tiny little holes about this big, perforations around the edge. They sound lovely. But sometimes for certain things they're a little bit too bright. It's a good thing sometimes, but sometimes it's a little bit too bright. So I thought, what if I bought something that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum? So these are 14-inch extra dry medium hi-hats. They sound lovely. Let me give it a sound of those. Very buttery sort of sound. And then I also have, for my teaching setup, I've got a Classics custom dark set that I use when I'm teaching up here in the real world with real life students, people bashing on them kind of thing. I've got the set of hi-hats that came with those, which are 14-inch. They're kind of in the middle. So I've got like the really, really bright sounding ones, something in the middle, and then these, which obviously sound quite dark and funky. Then I've got a 10-inch vintage Byzance trash splash over here. Nice quick, sorry, turned the talkback mic on a little bit too soon there. Nice quick sounding splash. Over here, this stack, this was kind of the first stack that I built. I've got others that I sometimes break out on recording sessions. It's a 14-inch Generation X filter china. And then on the top of that today, I've got the Classics custom 12-inch dark trash splash on the top there. Let's give it a little sound of that. Nice short sound for accents, like for example, you'd use it. I like stacks a lot because it's kind of a cymbal, but it's got a short sound to it rather than a long sound that normally people have. And then cymbals have even. Over here, this ride is lovely. It's a vintage pure 20-inch Byzance ride. Very funky looking. It's funny, like people who are not initiated in cymbals, I guess the general public think that cymbals look like this one, where they're sort of shiny. And when they see that, they're like, oh, you've had that for a while. And I'm like, no, it's brand new and it's supposed to look like that. So yeah, I do like darker sounding cymbals. And yeah, this has got a very raw, unlaved top to it. Let's give you a sound of the ride. Very nice sounding ride. Particularly the bell I was enticed by. Lovely sounding ride, really nice bell on it. And then over here, this is a 20-inch extra dry thin crash. This thing's a monster. This is kind of what turned me on to vinyl cymbals many years ago in the beginning. In the pupil of mine, Simon Long, shout out to you there if you're watching. Pupil of mine, Simon Long, he bought like a full set of vinyls a long time ago. We're talking probably at least 15 years ago. He was way ahead of the game than me, and I'm going around his house to teach him and sort of help him set up his kit because he just bought this lots of nice gear. And I'm hitting this thing, and I'm going. The other companies, no disrespect to them, don't seem to make anything that sounds like that. So yeah, let's give you a sound of that one. It's a very dirty, angry sounding cymbal. Let's give you a sound of that. And it kind of, the choice of this cymbal was kind of something I'd learned about my playing over the years, in that when I hit a crash on the left side, it seems to be kind of Dr. Jekyll, And then anything that exists on this right side here, anything smaller than 18 inches ends up getting cracked, or at least it has in the past. So I realized I'm kind of like Jekyll Hyde when it comes to my right side. So I was like, what I need over here is a big, nasty, dirty, evil sounding cymbal that kind of makes me back off a little bit, actually. I noticed since I've got this one, instead of, hitting it to the point where one might crack a cymbal, I can be a bit gentler on this because it gives me what I need without needing to lay into it too much. And then last but not least, this is the clap stack down here. I don't know if you guys can see this one. Yeah, just about in the video clip there. And it's a 10-inch on the top of a 12-inch on the top of a 14. And then, of course, the cymbals are kind of bent into a curve like so. And who would have thought that that sounds just like an 808 hand clap? And so, of course, one of the first things I did on that was this song. For those of you who know your classic 70s music, that's Car Wash by, I think it's Rose Royce. But yeah, clap stack sound. I can kind of use it as like an electronic snare sound, so like things like play backbeats on there before the snare drum comes in. I find like, when it comes to backbeats, you've kind of got a choice between like, or, and kind of to have something in between there, like the stack is really nice. I think that's everything. Sim pads on the top of here. I find these are a bit kinder to your cymbals than cymbal felts, and they seem to last a little bit longer. Plus they're blue. You might notice there's a little bit of a blue theme going on with the kit at the moment. SoundArc seem to have the same theme, the studio that I use to teach at and rehearse at, and goodness knows what else, and record the videos. Obviously, you see this is a different room to the room that I'm usually in when we're doing the videos. Actually on the other side of this wall just here. But yeah, my drum cover videos are usually recorded in there, which is in fact a live room of SoundArc Studio with my good friend Liam Knight, who makes my drums sound fantastic and better than this EAD. But the EAD is pretty good, as we were saying earlier. Vic Firth freestyle sticks. These were another game changer. I'm long, my limbs are long, my legs are long, my arms are long. I'm kind of tall. So I always found it like a standard size stick, like 5A, 5B. They always felt a little bit short for me. And when the extremes came out, so the extremes are ½ inch longer. Normally, I think it's about 16 inches, a standard 5A. You probably know this because you can fit them into your floor tom rim like so. But yeah, standard size on a stick is normally 16 inches long, and then an extreme is 16.5. That was kind of nice, and they didn't feel too short on me. But these freestyle ones they just brought out, so this is a freestyle 5B. They're 17 inches long, and I find just that extra bit of reach. It's a game changer. It's like, where have these been all my life? I don't think they've been out that long, but yeah, I don't think I could use any other kind of stick, really. I've got them in various sizes as well. So I use the Freestyle 8A. It's quite a nice light stick when I'm playing quiet gigs. The Freestyle 5A is kind of obviously in between. And then if I'm hitting stuff, I like the Freestyle 5B because it kind of gives you that extra little bit of weight. But yeah, great sticks. Always rely on Vic Firth. I think I've been Vic Firth since birth, pretty much. Really, I've tried other sticks, but yeah, it always ends up coming back to these ones. Okay, so I think, that's done now. Hopefully I've slowed down the pattern and made it obvious how it fits into a bar of 4 in both contexts, as a 30-second note thing or as a triplet thing. Hopefully I've given you a few ideas for how to move it around and things like that. And given you some advice on how to improve your general linear playing by mastering the 1/1 pattern, which seemed to elude me for a long time, or at least I put it off so it eluded me. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching my videos. It does keep this thing going. And I'm just a guy from Houghton Regis who's been playing a long time. So I do appreciate that people enjoy what I do. I'm not full of myself, as I said earlier. It's like this nickname may give the impression that I am, but I'm still getting better. I'm still striving. I'm never content with my playing. I'm always trying to come up with new ideas or better ways of playing other ideas, coming up with exercises that improve my playing as well as my pupils' playing. And thank you guys for tuning in. Much appreciated. Thank you for your comments. What comments have we got just here? Let's have a look. I'm a ninja in training. I'm still in karate. I like that one. That's Mr. Lasers, I think his name is there. And then, how do I get better at ghost notes? Okay, let's deal with that question. Ghost notes is all about height of stick. And marching band guys will teach you about this in that they kind of have an idea. Obviously, this is not religious, but they have this idea where there's two types of note. There's either an accent, for which I'm going to pull the stick back here, or there's a ghost note, for which I'm going to play down here. And I'll show you a few things about ghost notes. So, yeah, I do play ghost notes quite low. I think it's about the contrast, isn't it? We've got the accent, which takes your head clean off, and then we've got the ghost note, which is just kind of a quiet note in between. That kind of like without them, the music doesn't move the same way it does. So like even though sometimes you can barely hear ghost notes in a song, they're still there. They're still adding something to the music, even if they're quiet and sitting underneath the mix. So for me, an accent obviously is kind of obvious. I can't bring my hand back any further than this if I'm playing a full accent. But then a ghost note should be about 1 inch above the head. And then that seems to give you the right sound. But let's go to a bit more detail than that. So let's say if I'm playing a paradiddle, that's probably just the first example that sprung to mind, and I'm playing it with an accent on the first group of 4. Let's play that for you so you can hear what I mean. It's me playing a paradiddle, and the first group of 4 is an accent. The rest of them are ghost notes. So for example, like paradiddle, paradiddle. First note, like the pa is the loudest thing. My teacher used to tell a funny story about that. My teacher was a guy called Freddie Wells, God rest him, fantastic teacher, amazing drummer. He had lessons with a very renowned English drummer called Eric Delaney. And he told me a story once where he couldn't do that because I just couldn't figure out where to place the accent. I think it's when he was beginner, he was just struggling with where to place the accent in the paradiddle. And like, this is my teacher's arm. Eric Delaney was like, it's like this. Paradiddle, paradiddle, punched him in the arm to the tune of that. Whenever I play that pattern, I always think of that story that my teacher told me about him basically getting beaten up to the tune. I think he said that he got home and he had a bit of a dead arm that lesson. Thank goodness we don't teach drums like that anymore. Like, goodness me, if I did that in one of the schools I teach, I'd never teach again. I'd be struck off me. But yeah, let's play that again. And I'm going to show you something about the ghost notes in it. Hopefully it's translating over the internet connection and video. To me, ghost notes have a lower pitch, not just a lower volume. So you might hear, let's do a couple of accents and a couple of ghost notes just so you can hear what I mean. To me, that kind of sounds like there's a pitch difference as well as a volume difference, and it's kind of how I can tell that I'm playing ghost notes at the right height or the right volume without looking at them, is I can hear that lower pitch. So for example, when I'm playing the paradiddle pattern now, I should be able to hear if I don't hear that. And check this out, if I bring the ghost note higher than 1 inch, it doesn't seem to have the lower pitch anymore. Kind of a lower pitch, but at least not as pronounced as it is when I play the ghost notes 1 inch above and then the accent way up here. So that's one thing that you can sort of use to keep an eye on. Am I playing ghost notes correctly? Or am I playing them too high or too hard or too loud, whichever way of describing them you have. But then let's get into how do you get better at ghost notes. To me, ghost notes are the easiest note. Let's look at that for a second. So to play an accent, my hand has to move this much. Whereas to play a ghost note, my hand moves this much. Oops, sorry, talk that mic. I don't know if it even looks in the video like my hand's even moving. Like, for example, that's me playing a ghost note right there. My hand's barely even moving. So I often say to people who are struggling with ghost notes, because everybody does it first, there's nothing wrong with that. But I often say to them, which one's easier, that or that? It's that really, isn't it? You know what I mean? We just got to kind of get to the point where we put as little effort into a ghost note as possible, I think. And another one is kind of, my teacher had this philosophy, which it's kind of more letting go than it is like physically striking a drum. He used to do this thing that floored me the first time I heard him do it. I wonder if I can do this and it will translate over the video. I can do it, but it's whether or not it's going to translate over here. He played like the quietest roll I'd ever heard, like pianissimo roll. and it was double strokes. And what I was impressed by when he did this in front of me was that he could still keep it double strokes. It wasn't like getting messy or anything like that, even at this sort of volume. So like this kind of volume. And it does take a lot of concentration to kind of keep that going down there, not let it get louder, but also not lose the control over the double strokes because they're so quiet and there's barely any energy being put into them. So I think, yeah, that's a good advice with ghost notes. There's barely any energy in them. Another thing you might want to explore for ghost notes, which I haven't really got time to go into detail about today because we're almost, wow, we've been talking for an hour. Didn't realize that. I just looked at the time. But is the molar technique. You'll notice that in my videos, that's how I'm kind of achieving sometimes the difference between a ghost note and an accent. Molar technique in a nutshell is this whipping thing that you see me doing here. So it's, yeah, almost like I've got a whip in my hand and I want the horses on my stagecoach to go faster, like so. And yeah, one of the ways I use that, I would advise look at other lessons on the molar technique because there's some fantastic ones out on YouTube. Just type it MOELLER, molar technique. And the way I use it is like this. So I can kind of, on my way up to doing one of those whips, I can play ghost notes like this. Yeah, so you can see if like I'm grooving, let's do this in like the context of a funky groove where there's some ghost note sort of syncopation going on. Yeah, so you can see that like sort of on my way up to sort of, that's me storing up the energy for a whip and then that's me letting them have it. On the way up there, I'm able to play the ghost notes and now I'm ready to play this sort of the accent on the 2 and 4 as I was doing there. Hopefully that gives you sort of a few things to mess around with ghost notes. Thank you for your question, Mr. Doms 5557 UQ. Yeah, nice one for the question, mate. Hopefully that gives you a decent answer, albeit brief. And yeah, maybe next time we can look at some of these sort of things like ghost notes and stuff like that. I do teach online like this, so if you'd like to go in more detail, just send me an email or a message on here and we can look at setting up a session. And as you can see, I've got finally COVID kind of forced my hand, but we've got a decent setup where I can basically teach anyone in the world like this, I think. As long as you've got an internet connection, we could have a lesson together. So yeah, if you'd like to go into any more detail about these things, please let me know. Hopefully I've given you some stuff that you can work on. What's the last comment there? B9, I think that's Black Foxes is what that's supposed to say. They're saying, hey Lewis, did you ever beat the Genius Book of World Record speed per minute? No, still working on it, unfortunately. So over COVID, I had a lot of time on my hands and I have a lot to practice sort of in a given week. I've got songs to learn. I've got things I'm working on in my spare time. Having the fastest hands in the universe isn't exactly top of the pile, although it is something that I would like to do. So basically I have other fish to fry when I'm sat in the practice room. But yeah, like I say, over COVID-19, we're all stuck in our homes. Nothing better to do than work on that. So I thought, okay, maybe in this time I can make some decent progress. I did make some good progress. I could keep, at the time the record was 12:40 something, I think. I could keep that sort of tempo going for around about 30 seconds, but unfortunately that was as far as I got. And then I knew this was going to happen, that when life went back to normal, I would again have bigger fish to fry when I'm in the practice room. I don't get a great deal of time in the practice room with all the teaching and performing that I do. So I have to try and prioritize what I'm using said practice time for. And yeah, like I say, unfortunately, having the fastest hands in the West isn't exactly top priority. It's not going to get you a gig, is it? Let's put it that way. But yeah, still something I'm working on in my spare time. Where I've had to leave it for a little while. Right is still there. Like, let's give you an example. I don't know if this is the tempo, but for example, the technique is definitely still there in my right hand. Okay, but left hand is almost like, what are we doing again? What world record? What's that? And yeah, we're only working on this for about 2 years, lefty. Like anyone who's right-handed knows what I'm talking about here. Lefty's not exactly the brightest of the two hands. So yeah, lefty's almost forgotten how to do it. If I warm up a little bit, it kind of gets there. But yeah, I think I've got a bit of work to do to get sort of even back to where I was, to be honest, let alone any faster than I was. But yeah, thanks for the comments. Thanks for the encouragement. In fact, yeah, your comment has encouraged me to try and maybe get back on with that when I do get a bit of spare time. But spare time is of the essence just lately. Yeah, hopefully that's given you guys everything you need to know. Thank you for the comments and your questions. Much appreciated. And hopefully I've slowed things down enough. Like what sounds slow in my head, I listen back to this and it actually sounds kind of fast. And I worry that like our beginners getting anything out of this lesson. Because yeah, you don't have to be an expert to play these ideas. I think everything's easy understandable if I explain it in a simple enough way. But yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of a lowdown on what the kit is today, a few bits of advice on how to generally improve your drumming as well as enjoy this particular idea that I'm sharing with you guys today. And yeah, perhaps it makes you guys think of similar ideas in that like 10 is an odd number of notes for a pattern. And then it makes you think outside the box. Okay, how am I going to make this 10-note pattern fit a bar of 4? That's something I like to do a lot, is sort of think outside the box. For example, like if your idea is a 4-note pattern, like something like this. Everyone knows that one if you're a beginner and you've played that one before, I'm sure. But to me, that kind of, nothing wrong with that idea. Sometimes it's the idea that works for the song and that is necessary. But to me, like say if I'm playing a solo or something like that, that idea sounds a little bit predictable. I can hear where it's going. It's not entertaining me quite so much as, say, an idea that's 10 notes long, where, yeah, that doesn't sound quite so predictable. It's keeping my rhythmic brain entertained as to how to, as I say, make it fit or where it's going. I like ideas that kind of almost make you lose the one. Like, God rest him, Aaron Spears used to be a master of this sort of stuff where he would play ideas. And yeah, I must admit, sometimes when I'm listening to Aaron Spears, I lose the one. But yeah, those are the kind of ideas that I personally like and like to play. If I'm free to play, obviously, if I'm playing for somebody's session, I've got to play what's right for the song. But if I'm free to play to my own devices and be myself, exert my own personality into the music, that's the kind of stuff I enjoy. So yeah, thank you again for tuning in. I'm going to sign off now, guys. I'm going to record a couple of other videos today that you guys seem to enjoy. I did a video a while ago where I played an idea fast, then I slowed it down, and then I included the sheet music along the bottom. So maybe I'm going to record a couple of those in the time that I have left in this studio session booking that I have made today. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Look after yourselves and keep drumming. Thanks again. Bye now.